Hi everyone, welcome to the second part of my review of the Open Benchtable BC1. Today we're going to be looking at AT motherboards and we're going to start with this 386 motherboard. As you can see, there are three mounting holes that align with the ones on the motherboard and another two that don't align. The one on the right has no support on the Open Benchtable. So I'm going to start mounting the standoffs. And I have to think of a method to keep the motherboard steady on the right side. And regular 2x4 Lego Duplo seems to be the same height as the standoffs and will probably do the trick. Next, we're going to be looking at the components required for building a functioning computer, and we're going to start with an IDE floppy adapter. Next is the video card, and then a sound card. That's always important for building a DOS computer. The hard drive, this one may be a bit new, but is fully recognizable by the IDE adapter. And of course the floppy. And now onto the power supply. This is the same power supply we've seen in the previous video, so because of the metal fan, this one cannot be fully mounted. We're gonna mount it with only two screws. And we're gonna start putting it all together. And now we're adding the motherboard and the unusual standoff. This one has some signs of wear, but it's fully functioning. And the standoff seems to be doing a good job of keeping the motherboard leveled. And after mounting the PCI holders, I'm gonna fit the components. As you can see, I was a bit in a hurry here, and the video card is mounted a bit odd on an angle. You'll have to be careful when mounting similar extension cards that have similar mounting points. And this is the floppy ribbon. Although it's not pretty, I'm pretty happy with the results, and I can easily do a benchmark on this setup. You may need additional Lego pieces to support all the extensions and make sure the motherboard doesn't flex or touch the metal underneath, but the result is pretty good. Next, we're going to be looking at the 486 motherboard. I think it's a socket free. And out of the three mounting holes, all of them match, but the fourth one doesn't have any mounting point. And on the right side we have a mounting point, and it looks like we won't be needing the Legos anymore. And we start assembling the motherboard. to continue with the components. Overall, I'm a bit happier with this build over the 386 since it has more mounting points, but the Lego brick was still required. And now the last motherboard we're going to be looking at today is a socket 7 motherboard. And just by looking at it, 4 of the mounting points align with 4 mounting standoffs, but the 5th doesn't have a corresponding standoff. And also, one intermediate standoff has to be removed. You always have to be careful because they must not touch the underside of the motherboard. And we're gonna start assembling the thing and start adding the components. And the floppy ribbon, and this is by far the most fixed build of the day. The motherboard is very nicely fixed onto the open bench table, and I'm more than happy with the amount of space the standoffs are providing for wires and cable management. So none of the boards we looked at today are officially supported by the BC1, and you'll assemble them onto the bench table at your own risk, but I'm pretty confident that the socket 7 motherboard will have its place here just as it would in a regular AT computer case. Thank you for your time and see you next time with ATX motherboards.